Hello and welcome to Brockley News, Radio Brockley's weekly show with news, interviews and information, including updates on all you need to know about what's happening in and around the hospital. I'm Alan Joyce, and tonight we celebrate the day we've been waiting for many, many years, the opening of the Stanmore Building. The new wards open to patients of the RNOH this weekend, and we'll be taking a tour of the new building over the next half an hour. We'll also be playing bedside bingo and introducing requests to all of you patients on the new wards for the very first time. Then at 7:30, your chance to win some Radio Brockley goodies without leaving your bed on Bedside Bingo with David Welch. And at around 8 o'clock tonight, all your choice of tunes on the Sunday Request Show with Keith Reeve. So stay tuned to London's longest running hospital radio station and the UK's official #1 hospital radio station. It is Radio Brockley. So the Stanmore Building was officially open to patients this weekend. The £40 million project, which is now home to 119 beds, offers the best in ward architectural and health technology. The 4 new wards provide the very latest in ward technology, and you can now listen to Radio Brockley on a brand new entertainment system. You can also watch us on the Alpha Sessions channel on our YouTube channel. Radio Brockley trustee Keith Reeve has been following the progress of the rebuild right from the start and is now live in the Stanmore Building to give us a guided tour. So over to you, Keith.
Yes, good evening, Alan. What a fantastic weekend this is for the RNOH. After decades and decades of uncertainty and a real roller coaster ride, the new Stanmore Building, as you've alluded to, has finally opened and accepted its first patients. Basically, there's 4 ward floors on this in this building. The top floor, which is where I'm standing at the moment, is the private wing, the brand new private wards, which used to be Philip Newman and Ian Munro. And then the two levels below me are the new London Irish ward, which is a kind of an amalgamation of Ward 4 and Margaret Hart, and I think some of the Duke of Gloucester patients. And Duke of Gloucester is Duke of Gloucester, as it's always been by name, but all of them are much larger wards than they used to be. And there's also a brand new children's ward, which I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get a chance to go into tonight. I'm going to try, and we'll see what we can do. But generally speaking, fantastic weekend for the RNOH, and I feel absolutely almost overcome, actually, because I've been involved with this hospital for 50 years. I'm actually standing in our new building that has opened this weekend to its first patients.
Yeah, it's quite an amazing new building. I've just been over to see it for the first time myself, and the colours are really vibrant. It's got that feeling of something that's just so excitingly brand new, isn't it? It's also clean and so fresh, and it's just very exciting to see.
It is. And as I say, I'm standing right up the top floor at the moment. I'm not going to go onto the private wing, but if I look out of the window, I can actually see the Radio Brockley studio from where I'm standing, and which is great to see. So if you were at the window, Alan, I could almost wave to you, but I'm not going to do that.
And you've got quite a nice view of the gardens as well, haven't you, there? They've got some new rock gardens and an area
That's
outside.
Right. There's new gardens that are only accessible to the children at the moment, but it's a lovely layout of gardens and some very special things in there. Not had an opportunity to explore that as yet, but hopefully in the coming months we will do, because I understand there will be an official opening in the autumn of 2019 next year. So that's still to come, which is absolutely fantastic. And standing here as I do, I can see the reception desk for the new private wing, and I can see these strange spherical shapes that are hanging from the ceiling. They're a bit like those strings of sherbet you used to get when you were a child, and they're in all sorts of different colours. And what they actually are the profiles, the facial profiles of some of the staff that have worked here at the RNOH for 5 years or more. Now, 1 or 2 people, when I've been into the building over the last few months, have pointed out who they are and where they are on these strings. And that's actually quite a nice, unique feature. And of course, over the last 2 years, since the building's been under construction, I've been doing regular reports with the programme director, Richard Scott, literally from when it was a building site to when it was actually developed into a structure and being fitted out, and now a fully fledged hospital wing. So it's fantastic to see. I'm now going to start to walk down the stairs. Now, there's this amazing kind of hanging staircase in the building, which is quite dominant in the foyer, as you would expect. And it looks a bit like a ship, to be honest. That's the sort of thing you might expect to see on a cruise liner, but it's quite an impressive sight. And I'm just now walking down one level, and I've just arrived to the door of Duke of Gloucester ward, which I'm going to try to see if I can get in and have a little walk round.
All right, we'll return to Keith very shortly whilst we try and get onto one of the wards. They do look absolutely amazing. And if you are listening for the first time on one of our new entertainment systems, then, as I say, you can not only listen to Radio Brockley on there, but you can also access things like YouTube as well, which means that you can listen back to things like Brockley News. And you can also watch the Alpha Sessions, which you heard possibly just before this programme, where you can actually now see videos of some of the new music stuff that we're doing down here. So lots of really exciting things going on, and we'll rejoin Keith very shortly. But let's play you a piece of music. And if you've been following the X Factor in recent weeks, you'll know that Dalton Harris was announced as the winner of that programme. So here is his winning single, which was straight in the charts this week at number 4. This is his version of The Power of Love. Originally a hit for Frankie Goes to Hollywood and also for Gabrielle Aplin later on, but that's Dalton Harris with James Arthur, the winning single from the X Factor this year, and that's The Power of Love. We are celebrating the opening of the Stanmore Building here at the RNOH. It's finally happened after many, many years. Keith and I and David, who you'll hear on Bedside Bingo, have all been here many, many years and been waiting for this day, and it's a really great moment to say that we now have patients in the new RNOH buildings. Let's rejoin Keith then, who's now on the all-new Duke of Gloucester ward. Keith.
Yes, hello, Alan. I've basically walked to one end of the ward, and as I look back where I've walked, there's 2 corridors. One's fairly straight that goes towards the lifts and things like that, and some of the nursing and care facilities, and the other one curves away, and that's one of the features of this building. It's a curved building, and I remember seeing the artist's impressions of this 2 or 3 years ago, and actually walking through it now, seeing that corridor curving away just brings that to life into full, 4D basically, if that's the right term. But what strikes you about all of our wards and all of our wings now is the lovely artwork. Now, where I'm standing at the moment, there's some beautiful artwork on the walls, which is goldfinches, a big flock of goldfinches on one wall, which is a lovely sight for those of you who like watching your birds in your garden. And there's a phone ringing there in the background. And on the other wall opposite is a murmur of starlings, which is, if you've ever seen that in real life, is a very, very impressive sight. So what I'm going to try to do is going to get away from this bleeping noise and see if I can get into a room where I can tell you all about the wonderful patient entertainment system that we've now got. Now, I'm walking into a single bedroom because all the wards here are either single bedrooms or 4 bedrooms now. This is an empty single bedroom, and each floor has its own murals on the wall in each room. So this Duke of Gloucester ward has wildflowers, and I'm looking at some lovely bluebells on the wall behind the bed. It's a lovely setting. I mean, you could be in a hotel. You could be in a quite an expensive hotel in this room. The only thing that gives it away is obviously all the medical equipment and things that are coming out the wall. But on an arm above this bed is a terminal, which at the moment just says Lincor. So I'm going to try to bring it to life. And there it is. It's come up in front of me with the welcome page. And you can now listen to Radio Brockley. So I'm going to click radio. And I'm hoping that you'll hear Radio Brockley playing in a few moments on this terminal. It probably should be me, obviously, because that's what's on air at the moment. And there I am, slightly delayed, as you would expect, but there is my squeaking voice coming out of the terminal. So it's that easy to listen to Radio Brockley. You can plug headphones in, standard headphones that you might use with your smartphone or your tablet or any other device. And you can also surf the internet and you can watch TV and stuff like that. But Radio Brockley's on there on the radio section. And also, if you go to our website, which is, of course, radiobrockley.org, and you click Listen Live, you can listen to us that way as well. So this is a massive step forward for the RNOH. We've never had patient entertainment terminals on any of our wards, but we have now.
And there's also a giant screen in the sort of foyer area of the wards, which is playing out one of the radio stations. It's now playing out Radio Brockley. We changed it over, didn't we, earlier on?
Yes, somebody's now watching Doctor Who.
Oh, are they really? Okay, fine.
Yeah, but actually, I'm just walking towards one of the nursing stations, which has got a map of the wing on it and shows the curvature of the building. but it's also got a big list of all the bed spaces and who's in which bed, and who their main care nurse is and who their consultant is. So at a glance, you can see immediately who's in which ward, on which bed, and very, very high tech. And rather than having above each bed the old rub out whiteboard where you'd have their name and it'd be a bit smudged because you've had 38 other people on there before, you've now got a TV screen with the bed number, and it tells you the name of the patient, and it tells you their consultant and everything else. So, you know, absolutely fantastic. While I've been talking to you, I've walked into one of the 4-bed wards, which is empty, because although they've migrated people this weekend from Duke of Gloucester, Margaret Hart and other wards, the wards are far from full at the moment, and that's pretty a sensible move just to make sure things went well. But one of the big features we have here are these overhead hoists on tracks. So basically, rather than having wheeled hoists to move patients in and out of bed or out of chairs that can't otherwise do it under their own power, we have these tracks going around the building that can actually lift them out of their bed into a chair, or even take them straight into the bathroom, into the bath. So there's less risk of injuring the patient, there's less risk to the staff of hurting themselves in the process, and there's less clutter on the floor because you're not having to wheel a mobile hoist around. It's actually already in position, and you just got to use this kind of motor unit to lift people up and move them around. Very, very high-tech stuff indeed.
Really is. And the other thing that struck me when I walked into it is the size of the rooms as well. I think you covered this actually when you went up there previously and they were sort of building it, but the size of the individual rooms are quite big, aren't they?
Yes, they are. I mean, you go into, I'm just walking into this 4-bed here. I don't think there's anybody in this one. If there is, I apologise, but no, it's empty as well. And there's a lot of space. I mean, you know, they're far bigger space-wise around the bed than we had in our other wards. And obviously in some of the other wards, that was quite noticeable in places where there wasn't any space at all to move around the people or have any equipment around, but there's lots and lots of space. It makes it feel much more comfortable and less stressed because there is that extra space in the ward, and the decor is lovely. The pictures on the wall set it off beautifully.
And it's quieter as well. I think that struck me because obviously when you're in a big open ward, you've got lots of noise with people being so close together. But when I walked into those wards, they all seem very nice and quiet, which is what you want, isn't it, when you're staying in hospital?
That's right. I mean, you want some peace and quiet. As the old adage says, hospitals are no place to get any rest. And being a patient here myself over the years, I can vouch for that. If you want a good night's sleep, the hospital's not the best place to be. But certainly here, you stand a better chance of that because the environment is much more compartmentalised, so you can actually, escape some of the noises a bit, and the general noise in the ward isn't shared by everybody.
Great. Okay, we're going to come back to you in a few more minutes then, Keith, if that's okay. We'll play another piece of music, and obviously with Christmas around the corner, lots of the Christmas tunes are coming back into the charts, including this one. Hard to believe this is back in the top 40 after all these years, but it is. It's Brenda Lee and Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. Okay, well, let's try and rejoin Keith now and have a bit more of a word about how the new building is looking up there. Keith has been working his way around the new building. Perhaps, Keith, you can sort of talk us through a little bit about the main entrance for anyone who's coming in, because, again, that's quite eye-opening, isn't it?
It is. I mean, for the first time ever, really, at Stanmore, we've actually got a proper official main entrance to a building. So I've just had a little look around London Irish, which is very similar to Duke of Gloucester. Just lovely artwork, again, different artwork on every floor. So I'm going to step down. I'm coming down to the main reception. So when you come in through the double doors, which are obviously automatic, so they automatically let you in, and you don't have to even open the door anymore. It's fantastic. And we've got lifts as well for the first time at the RNOH at Stanmore, which is a big step forward. But I'm just coming down to the reception, and there is a big reception desk at the bottom, which is going to be manned 24/7, or staffed, I should say. And there's some interesting things down here. There's a coffee shop where you'll be able to get a nice coffee and a snack, so you haven't got to wander off anywhere else in the building. or in the hospital site. It's going to be a coffee shop down here. There's some very plush armchairs, which I fancy taking to in a moment, but I will not at the moment. And there's this interesting little boudoir at the back, which I haven't yet quite worked out what this is all about, but it's like a big reflective dome mirror and all these little booths with little bench seats in. There's a red one, and there's a sort of a red, a blue one as well. And there's a light projector on the wall, which is reflecting light back onto a screen on the wall. It's all quite interesting stuff, and it seems to change colour as well, which is quite amazing. So this is all in the reception.
Yeah, and it does look quite a sight, actually, just driving into the hospital, seeing it all lit up as well. It's quite impressive, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's obviously all modern LED lighting, which gives a slightly different aura of light to the old sort of lighting we're all very used to. But it's very spacious. It's obviously brand new, spanking new, very clean. But it's just a massive, massive step forward for this wonderful hospital to have a building like this in this day and age. Brings us well and truly into the 21st century.
We haven't actually specifically really talked about the exact wards that have moved across and the ones that have stayed. So we've mentioned, obviously, you've been on Duke of Gloucester ward. London Irish you've just talked about, which is one of the brand new wards, isn't it? So What other wards have we got in the block?
Well, we've got Sir William Coxon ward, which is the children and young people's unit, which has moved across. So that's very young children from babies to teenagers. We've got the private care wing, which is right on the top floor. That used to be Philip Newman and Ian Munro. They're now combined onto the new private care wing on the top floor. And then Margaret Hart's moved across. That's shared between the London Irish ward and I think Duke of Gloucester. Ward 4's moved across as well. And, of course, Duke of Gloucester's moved across. But each of the wards is much larger than the old ones used to be. I think we used to have 16, 18 beds on Margaret Hart. It's now something like 28. So it's a huge step forward in volume, which is why, obviously, the building needs to be much larger.
And the wards not all full up at the moment, are they? But presumably more patients will be coming in tomorrow and during the course of the next couple of weeks.
I would have thought so. I mean, I suppose the sensible way is that they've done a very sort of softly approach with this and moved, run the wards down with people that don't need to be here, have been sent home. And they've moved over about 10 people, I think it is, on London Irish this weekend from the other wards. And that's all they've got on there. It's much the same story on Duke of Gloucester. So they're well below capacity, but they've obviously got to bed people in. They've got to sort of sort out any issues that arise from the building. There's been lots and lots of testing going on over the last few months, as you can imagine. But it's not until you've actually got patients in those wards and they're having to be made cups of tea, they're having to be cared for, and all the admin needs to be done that you start to encounter what it's like in the real world. So they've got to sort of ease in gently.
The other thing that's great, of course, is that it's very handy from the car park. You haven't got the long walk anymore between the old ward slope and the car park. And of course, the building where it is now is where the old car park used to be many years ago as well.
That's right. I am standing on what used to be the old car park. Now, I just found a bit of a toy to play with here. You know how much I like my toys.
Yes, you do.
And you can probably hear a bit of a rumbling noise behind me. And there's this thing blowing air up in the air. And I think the idea is you get these little cup things and they're supposed to take off and fly. Caroline's just joined me and we're having a bit of fun here. What do you make of this, Caroline?
I think it's some sort of experiment. I don't know, if it was in school, it'd be absolutely fascinating. If you put the cones upside down, the air blows them and they actually twiddle around. It's good fun.
It is. It's not working very well at the moment. I think it needs to be much lighter. It needs to be made out of something like tissue paper. But the principle's there. And as I say, I'm still trying to work out what some of this other stuff is meant to be for. These light projections, you can make hand puppets out of this. So Caroline's doing some kind of hand puppet with the light projector. This is apparently a rabbit, although it looks more like a Tyrannosaurus Rex from where I'm standing. But that's just my interpretation. But as you know, my interpretations can be wild at times. And there's this strange concave mirror. Now, those of you who are old enough or interested enough in history may remember the forerunners to radar, how they developed radar. And they had these listening devices, which were basically reflective dishes that they could turn, and it would reflect the actual sounds in so they could hear what was going on. Similar to how a satellite dish works, where it reflects a signal into a central sensor that picks up your signal. Similar principle. I'm standing in front of this huge mirror, which is probably about 8 foot diameter, and there's about 500 of me fragmented across it, which is probably far too much for most people.
I don't want to think about that, to be honest, but anyway, well, we're going to have to leave it there pretty much, but Keith, just wanted to ask you one other question, really. Obviously, as someone who's seen it through from the beginning and has been waiting for this for many, many years, your thoughts on sort of the final outcome after seeing it, as I say, in every stage of the planning?
I think it's a magnificent achievement for the RNOH, and it's worthy of our patients after many years of suffering in effectively what were temporary buildings built in 1940 in many cases. They're now in state-of-the-art modern accommodation, and all congratulations should go out to our wonderful board here at the RNOH. You've really stuck to the task, especially over the last 10 years, and actually got us here and got us a brand new building up, running and working in 2018. And some of us never thought we'd see this for as long as we'd lived. And I know a few people that have been here many, many years, and that is exactly what they've said to me. I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime, and I'm standing in it now. And I'm absolutely amazed and gobsmacked and proud to be part of the RNOH today.
Brilliant stuff. Keith, thank you very, very much for that. Real insight, and a big thanks to you for all of your updates as well over the years on the new hospital. They've been fascinating to listen to.
Thank you.